The story of World War II science does not begin with explosions or laboratories humming with machinery, but with a quiet moral fracture inside one of the most respected professions in the modern world. Medicine, once bound by an oath to heal, slowly redefined itself as an instrument of the state. This transformation did not arrive suddenly. It unfolded through paperwork, legal language, professional ambition, and a collective decision to obey rather than question. By the time the war reached its most violent phase, the ethical collapse had already been normalized. In January 1946, inside room 600 of the Palace of Justice in Nuremberg, Dr. Karl Brandt sat beneath unforgiving lights. He was not a madman foaming at the mouth, nor a caricature of cruelty. He was calm, articulate, and impeccably trained. Brandt had been Adolf Hitler's personal physician, a man who genuinely believed that medicine could be used to engineer a stronger nation. To him, the Hippocratic Oath had not been violated, it had been reinterpreted. Healing no longer applied to individuals, but to the body of the state itself. Anything deemed weak, defective, or costly was reclassified as disease. This reasoning did not originate in the camps. It began in lecture halls, conferences, and laws drafted with clinical precision. In 1933, the law for the prevention of hereditarily diseased offspring mandated forced sterilization for those diagnosed with conditions deemed genetically undesirable. Doctors, judges, and nurses participated willingly. Files were stamped, signatures collected, procedures scheduled. No blood needed to be spilled yet. It was administrative violence, invisible but foundational. By 1939, this logic evolved into Action T4, the systematic killing of mentally ill and disabled Germans. Gas chambers were tested, crematoria refined, and medical staff trained to kill efficiently. 70,000 German citizens were murdered not as enemies, but as excess weight. These programs became rehearsal stages. Here, doctors learned how to detach emotionally, how to convert people into numbers, how to document suffering without acknowledging it. When war expanded the supply of captives, concentration camps became laboratories in the purest sense of the word, controlled environments where ethics were suspended entirely. Dachau, Buchenwald, Ravensbrück, and Auschwitz transformed into reservoirs of human bodies, stripped of names, histories, and legal existence. At Dachau, Dr. Sigmund Rascher conducted high-altitude experiments designed to assist the Luftwaffe. Prisoners were sealed inside pressure chambers where oxygen was rapidly withdrawn, simulating conditions at extreme altitude. Witnesses described victims clawing at their chests as their lungs collapsed and blood vessels burst inside their brains. Rascher observed, timed, and documented each stage with detached fascination. Death was not a failure, it was data. In parallel, hypothermia experiments sought to solve the problem of pilots downed in icy waters. Naked prisoners were submerged in freezing baths for hours, their heart rhythms tracked as their bodies surrendered heat. Rascher noted when shivering stopped, the moment the body accepted death. Rewarming methods followed: scalding water, exposure to naked bodies, forced physical contact under observation. Survivors were rare. Those who lived often suffered irreversible damage. Elsewhere, the logic of experimentation followed similar paths. At Ravensbrück, female prisoners had their legs sliced open and infected deliberately to simulate battlefield wounds. Dirt, glass, and wood were inserted to ensure contamination. Antibiotics were withheld. Many died screaming from sepsis. Survivors walked with permanent injuries, their bodies serving as living evidence of controlled brutality. Malaria experiments infected over 1,000 prisoners. Seawater experiments forced Roma detainees to drink nothing but salt water until organs failed. At Auschwitz, Joseph Mengele pursued genetic obsessions, especially with twins. Children were subjected to amputations, injections, and surgeries without anesthesia, only to be killed later so organs could be compared post-mortem. None of this occurred in secrecy from the system. Reports were filed, results were shared, careers advanced. Yet this obsession with weaponized science was not limited to Germany. In occupied China, Unit 731 operated beyond imagination. Prisoners were infected with plague, anthrax, and cholera. Vivisections were performed without anesthesia to observe disease progression. Frostbite experiments mirrored those of Dachau. Entire villages were used as testing grounds for biological weapons. When the war ended, many of these scientists were not prosecuted.
Instead, they were quietly absorbed into American research programs. Immunity was granted in exchange for data. Justice became negotiable. In the United States, secrecy took a different form. The Manhattan Project did not rely on human experimentation in camps, but it introduced a moral rupture of unprecedented scale. Entire cities were erased from maps. Workers enriched uranium without knowing its purpose. The atomic bomb, when deployed, ended the war, but also redefined annihilation itself. Science had crossed a threshold where destruction could occur in seconds, without faces, without confrontation. As the Reich collapsed, Operation Paperclip recruited German scientists responsible for slave labor and missile programs. Wernher von Braun, architect of the V-2 rocket built by concentration camp prisoners, became a hero of American space exploration. The same mind that enabled terror weapons now helped place humans on the moon. The contradiction was not accidental, it was strategic. Knowledge mattered more than accountability. The aftermath forced the world to confront what had been done. At Nuremberg, doctors claimed obedience, necessity, patriotism. The court rejected these defenses. 7 were executed. More importantly, the Nuremberg Code was written, establishing informed consent as a foundational principle. It was not born of optimism, but of horror. Every consent form signed today traces its lineage to those trials. The legacy remains contested. Should data obtained through torture ever be used? Many argue that using it legitimizes the crime itself. Others argue that refusing it wastes lives already lost. This unresolved tension underscores the central lesson of World War II science. Progress without ethics does not elevate humanity, it mechanizes its destruction. Science is not evil. Obedience is not neutral. The danger lies in the moment when responsibility is outsourced upward, when conscience is replaced by protocol, and when intelligence serves power without reflection. The victims of these experiments were not casualties of ignorance, but of systems that rewarded compliance and punished dissent. The memory of these crimes persists not as a relic of the past, but as a warning embedded in every modern institution. Ethics are not luxuries reserved for peaceful times. They are stress tests of civilization itself. When pressure rises, when fear dominates, when urgency overrides reflection, the question remains the same. Will science serve humanity, or will humanity be reduced to raw material once again?